Hey, what up? This is Zach Guilford from Midnight Mass, and you're listening to one of my favorite podcasts, Pop Culture Pastor.
Pop Culture Pastor.
All right, Cody. We are here.
We are.
We survived the Super Bowl, although barely.
Yeah.
I thought the Chiefs played so bad that all people who were fans of the Chiefs just might keel over and die.
My Super Bowl party ended before halftime.
Yeah, I was here at the Fire Escape Coffee House where we record, by the way, if you're listening to this pod, and we were having a Super Bowl party, and I left at halftime. I'm just like, well, it's not our night.
Nope. Although there were some cool plays in trash time. Or garbage time, as kids call it.
Sometimes there can be in a game like that, but, it is what it is. It was the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I was more interested in the trailers. Did you see any of the movie trailers? Did any of them excite you?
Not really.
No? Not one? Not even Jurassic World Land Rebirth Park?
Like, it didn't add any excitement. That's how I should say.
No.
Like, I already had the excitement going into it. So
it looks like the plot that suspiciously looks like the Lost World. So I'm calling it Jurassic World Lost World Rebirth. Because yikes. I'm looking forward to seeing it, making fun of it, and reviewing it, which we'll do, because July is going to be a great month for movie reviews on Pop Culture Pastor.
it will be.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because you've got Jurassic World Rebirth, you've got Superman, and you've got Fantastic Four, and those are almost in successive weeks.
Yeah. Jurassic, whatever it is right now.
I confused you. See, I messed you up. You don't even know what the name of it is.
I'm excited for just because I'm a Jurassic Park kid. Like, I grew up with Jurassic Park, so that makes sense for me. Superman, see if DC's back. Mm-hmm. And then me go, DC's back, in your face. Yeah. And then
I'm for it, man.
I don't know whose face I'm going into when I say it, but in your face. Yeah. And then Fantastic Four, the Pascal verse might be back.
Yeah, let's remember that I am a Superman fan. That's my favorite DC character, so I hope that movie's good. I think it will be, and I think Fantastic Four is going to be good too. And then we'll be sitting here after successive weeks and being like, we're back!
Comic book movies are back in your face.
This is Pop Culture Pastor, if you haven't figured that out by now, the podcast. My name is Dave. Cody's here.
I am.
We're going to have a Geek of the Round Table with us later on.
This is exciting. In person.
Yeah.
I don't even get to pull out the geek phone.
Our man Scotty is here in the studio with us. He's going to sit in the next couple segments, but thought we would do this first without him. Now, we talked about the Super Bowl a little bit and the trailers, the commercials, of course, but do we want to talk about the halftime show? Because people seem to want to talk about the halftime show.
The epic halftime show.
First, let's stay away from what people are talking about. Is there anything you want to say about the halftime? I'm interested in what you thought about the halftime show.
So, for me, I really think that it was amazing that they got Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Like in a weird role that definitely had some meaning to it, but...
Uncle Samuel.
Yes, Uncle Samuel L. Jackson.
He managed to go the whole time without cursing. Good for him.
I was proud of him.
Yeah, very proud. Happy for you, buddy.
Like, his stage setup was a PlayStation controller buttons. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I recognize that from when I used to have a PS3. Shout out PlayStation. I also like a couple of Kendrick songs. So I was there for the music, but I knew there would be some layers and deeper meaning to whatever he was performing, just because that is...
He's an intelligent dude.
Yes, that's who he is.
Yeah. And I knew Kendrick to be that too. I'm old, so I wouldn't say I'm a Kendrick fan, even though I liked rap very much when I was younger. But I recognize him as technically a good performer and good at what he does. And so that's kind of what I was expecting. I thought just surface-wise that it was a little underwhelming for a Super Bowl show, which I think a rapper by himself will have a hard time at matching the bombasticness of a Super Bowl show. Like, I kept waiting for more guest peoples.
You had SZA.
Yeah, and of course Serena Williams came out and did her thing, dancing on the stage, and that had a meaning too. And of course, meaning for the diss war that he has going on with Drake.
And I'm here for that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were, and I just thought it was all right. It wasn't. I can understand how technically proficient he is, appreciate it, but also say that was a little underwhelming for a Super Bowl halftime. With no disrespect to Kendrick himself, because I can understand what he did was technically proficient and he's good at what he does. But imagine my surprise, Cody, when the internet set itself on fire, deciding they were going to argue all about this.
Oh, yeah.
Can you fill me in? Because I don't really understand. It seems like, conservatives were a little upset because it's always politics, right?
It is politics. And also, for some, there was a racial component.
Yeah.
But for the political side, at first, people were like, oh, this guy's just mumbling. There's nothing there. And then they're like, oh, wait, he's calling out pedophiles. And then it's like, he's just dissing Aubrey, better known as Drake.
Yeah, you can't be using no nicknames that I don't know who that is.
That's his Christian given name.
Yeah, but he doesn't go by that. Anyways, yeah,
Aubrey.
There was a lot of the diss stuff going on.
Yes, and he definitely had a political bent to his stage and song choice, because some of those songs, they weren't they were big hits, but they weren't super big hits. Yeah. And he chose them for a particular reason. Well,
okay. So let me get into this just briefly, because I was kind of annoyed at the conversation itself. Everybody getting upset. I was annoyed at conservatives for just hating anything that threatens their ideal of America in any way, like that America hasn't always done everything right. And you can see that just kind of in some reactions. But then I'm also annoyed by everyone every white person under 30 who did a TikTok to tell me how deep it was.
It was deep, Dave.
Well, actually, Cody, you may not know this, but he was saying some really deep things about the African American condition that's in the history of the country. And I'm like, and that's just might be new for you. And I'm like, new? Have you never heard of the blues? What is wrong with you people? Quit mansplaining me.
Yeah, I especially am a little frustrated with younger people that are like, oh, you old people don't get it. And it's like, if Kendrick had come out and said, all this is what it really meant, then there really wouldn't be a discussion. And I'm okay with you throwing out fan theories, but label it fan theories.
Yeah.
There's some things that it hits you in the face, and almost everyone, their mom, if they're looking at it, are like, okay, I see what you're saying here. But not everything was that black and white. Yeah. And so, you have a fan theory, or you understand this because you are a part of the culture. But there was a lot of people that aren't a part of the culture that were saying, this is what it meant. Yeah. And I'm like, if you're not a part of it, don't do that.
Exactly. What? Social media is such a big driver of this, so I wasn't really that riled up. I just thought that part particularly was kind of funny to me. Hey, actually, all of African American and human culture does this. Mm-hmm. Our condition comes through in our art, and that's always a beautiful part of pop culture and the things we write and the things we create, and it's beautiful. And so I can appreciate that Kendrick did that, and it was a strange choice for the Super Bowl halftime show.
Oh yeah, because honestly, if they were going to go a rapper and they were in New Orleans, Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah, I didn't even.
He's from there,
right? And they did use local people. I mean, Lauren Daigle sang a song at the beginning. That's is that the biggest stage for a Christian artist ever?
Lauren Daigle on a bagel got to perform "God Bless America."
Yeah, she did. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about with the Super Bowl halftime?
The whole stadium sang the line that is about Drake that Drake sued over.
Was that the part where he grinned into the camera?
Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of perfect, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm like, I see you, Kendrick.
Yeah.
I see you, K. Dot.
I gotta say, I wasn't even fully paying attention to the halftime show, and that part where he like turns and grins at the camera as the stadium shouts out the line, that was sort of iconic.
It was.
Yeah.
But like, that might go into a Super Bowl halftime show best of clips, even if you don't think that was a all-time or even a medium performance.
Well, even the photograph that someone snapped of him doing like during that moment is kind of iconic already, and I didn't even know what was going on.
I knew, and I was like, oh snap, he did it.
This is why Cody's here. We needed a millennial to break that down for me, because I had no idea. I knew it was about Drake, but I don't follow it enough to know like specifics. So
I did.
There you go. I hope y'all enjoyed the Super Bowl commercials and the halftime show and everything else that was going on, because we didn't enjoy the game.
We did not enjoy the game, but Seal, as a seal,
oh, that was disturbing.
That was disturbingly funny.
Almost as disturbing as the hat-shaped heads commercial.
That was creepy.
I don't know what was happening with that. We should do a whole episode one day of like just commercials during the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
where we talk about the commercials. We're not doing that today though. I don't think there were enough good ones.
You'd have to go all time.
All time? Wow, that
Maybe
seems a little too broad.
A draft.
Oh my goodness! I'm gonna go with the oldest ones I can think of just to throw everyone off. Okay, yeah, that was good. All in all, Super Bowl is always fun because it's like a pop culture celebration of sorts.
And there's usually good food.
There is. All right. It's time to invite our guest into the program. We're going to go play the movie game with Geek Scotty, who's here.
I'm probably losing.
Have faith. Have faith, sir. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. It's time for the movie game. The craze taking the nation by storm.
This might be the biggest blowout we've ever had.
Scotty, Geek Scotty, in the house. Scotty, by the way, welcome.
Well,
hello.
Thank you, guys.
I forgot we invited Scotty in here. And
yes.
Maybe we just weren't going to say anything.
See if the listeners would figure it out.
So just sneaking in here like the spirit, you know.
Yeah. Lower the mic a little bit there,
Really?
Scotty.
Gotcha.
So it's right in front of your mouth.
There
There
we
you go.
go.
Okay. Now, Scotty, I don't even know what we'd call him the geek of. Normally, our geeks at the round table have specialties. Scotty knows everything.
Yes.
Look, you notice there was no laughter there. I thought I might be kind of joking, but no.
No, like right before we came on, he was literally telling us about Broadway shows overseas.
Yeah. Like the cast.
Yes.
And I was like, of course Scotty knows Broadway. So Geek Scotty he's kind of like he's not even should we make a new level? He's not even like a geek of the round table. He's like Merlin. Look at him. He looks like Merlin. He's got the beard and the hair. All right.
Merlin or Rasputin?
He's Merlin. From now on, Scotty's our wizard.
Yes.
That sounds too KKK-ish. I don't think we can do that.
We'll figure it out.
We may get some heat for that.
All right. Here we go. It's time for the movie game. In front of me, I have 3 movie Rotten Tomato movie profiles. One of a not very good movie, one of a mediocre movie, and one of a very good movie. Scotty, you are the challenger.
What about the rules?
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to explain them in a minute.
Okay.
Scotty, you're the challenger, so I'll allow you to select. Do you want to try and solve the bad movie, the mediocre movie, or the good movie?
Let's go mediocre.
Already countercultural.
And
is
that's
Scotty.
why he's going to win this.
This is why Scotty's the man. All right, Scotty, here's what's going to happen. There are 5 levels here. Level 1, I will give you the critic score and the year the movie came out. Should you need level 2, the second build actor. Level 3, audience score. Level 4, the first build actor. And level 5, finally, the blurb as read by Dave's blurb voice. Are you
It's
ready?
a popular choice if we get to level 5.
Are you ready,
I'm
sir?
ready.
Okay. Your movie you've selected is the upper end of mediocre, a 68% Rotten Tomato score that came out in 2019. One of the newer ones we've had.
What?
Cody feels robbed.
Okay.
So 2019, 68% critical Rotten Tomato score. He is wizarding as we speak.
trying to think 19.
Scotty, by the way, is wearing a very cool Marvel The Defender shirt.
He was wearing a different Defender shirt at dinner tonight.
They
so
make multiple Defender shirts.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
We got Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, and that is literally from the Netflix shows.
Yes.
Scotty is putting way too much thought
He's
into
going
this.
to nail it on the first one.
I don't know about that because I'm leaning towards one that I may be out on, but let's go.
You know, you understand the rules. You don't have to solve it on the first
No.
one.
You do have to.
I'll take a swing, though. Let's
Okay.
go Thor Dark World.
It is not Thor
Okay.
Dark World.
Okay.
That would have been too generous of a score.
Maybe. Level 2 is the second build actor. The second build actor of this movie that came out in 2019, Robert De Niro.
Oh, Bob
Robert
De Niro.
De Niro in 2019.
Is it Grudge Match?
It is not Grudge Match.
Okay.
It is not Grudge Match. That'll bring us to level 3 as Cody furiously writes on his notepad to guess. He's showing me it. No, it is not. What's even in that?
I
thought that
don't
was
know.
Johnny Knoxville.
He was in a movie close to that title.
Are you thinking?
okay.
You're thinking about Grandpa, aren't you?
That's not what he wrote,
Okay.
though. He wrote something similar.
Yes. I'm not going to give you clues.
That's what we knew it wasn't that. That was no way that would reach 68% critical score. All right, what is that? Level 3 is the audience score. So okay, a lot of times doesn't really help. This time maybe a little help. 88%, huge jump of the audience score. Audiences loved it. Robert De Niro.
I got it.
In a movie that came out in 2019. Cody thinks he's got it. Cody is wrong again.
Oh, I almost had it.
Irishman?
By the way, that was Cody's guess.
Okay.
So that is incorrect.
We're on the
Incorrect.
same wavelength now.
We moved to level 4. This one might do it.
Okay.
Level 4 for this movie, 2019, 68% Rotten Tomato score, 88% audience score. Bob De Niro, the first build actor, Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin
Joker.
Phoenix. It is the Joker. He gets it on level 4. Look, Cody, you've got a shot here.
I do. That's amazing. Slash, I don't know if I would even put Bob De Niro as the second build actor in that.
Yeah, so I think
I mean, it's just based off name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what this game really does is it makes you think about who have the order of the actors would be listed, the way the movie company would do it because they're trying to make money. So yeah, like I assume he's barely in that movie.
But you think Zazie Beetz would have been second build? She would have came off of Deadpool 2 at that time.
Yep.
She would have been the bigger draw.
Yeah, except for who is that?
Fair.
Yeah.
Bobby De Niro.
All right, Cody, are we solving the bad movie or the good movie?
Let's risk it for the good movie.
All right, the good movie. Here we go. 98% Rotten Tomato critical score. That is certified fresh
Okay, that's very fresh.
for my Rotten Tomato fans. Came out in 2017, so not bad. Still in the newish realm.
Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
Now, you know that came out like 2 years ago.
I know. I don't have a good guess for that.
Okay,
so
I got you. Honestly, this is
It's the first time I haven't guessed pirates.
this is new. This is about the newest one Cody's ever gotten. So he's old by the time this movie comes out, and this is the way our old brains don't work. Level 2, the second build actor, or in this case, actress, Allison Williams. Allison Williams, the second build actor.
I definitely should know this, but I'm not knowing it. So next,
You know who Allison Williams is?
I feel I do.
Okay.
But when we get to this movie, I'll be like, I definitely didn't know.
Level 3 is the audience score. The audience score dips just slightly down to 86%. 90. So critics liked it better than audiences, but just barely. Still pretty universally adored for this movie that came out in 2017. And the second build actor, Allison Williams. I mean, you just go down the filmography of Allison Williams at this point, right?
Exactly.
I'm not even sure who that is.
Let's go to the next one. Scotty, you're probably going to win this, and it's going to be tragic.
Right. Number 4. This is for the tie. And again, I think this could get it. We could be going to a tiebreaker here. The first build actor is Daniel Kaluuya. Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, Get Out.
It is Get Out. So we tied. Yes.
Okay, I do know that actress, but yes.
98% critical reception for Jordan Peele's.
I'm disappointed in the audience, honestly.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of bums.
Yeah, it makes sense. Jordan Peele's movies like Nope, when you think about Nope, I bet it's the same way. I bet audiences did not like it as much as critics.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Almost got a Nope tattoo.
Are you serious?
Nope.
Nope. All right. The way the tiebreaker is going to work, Scotty, is we're just going to go level by level, and y'all can just throw out guesses, and the first one to guess right will win.
Okay.
But one guess per level.
Okay.
One guess. I don't know if we've
So
done that
I
before.
can't just yell out pirates.
Yeah. You need to make an educated
Educated
guess.
guess.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Level 1, the critic score of this bad movie, 35% critical score, which it doesn't seem that bad, for a movie that came out in 1993.
Ed Wood.
That is a good guess, but no, it is not.
pretty good.
I'm pretty sure people liked Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Probably critics did. Audiences would have bombed it.
I was staying in the Tim Burton realm. Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks. Boy, that's a solid guess, sir. 35% is like, I don't know what it actually is, but that is pretty much my level of enjoyment from that movie. It is not Mars Attacks, but man, that's a good guess. Level 2, the second build actor, in this case actress, Jane Curtin.
The Coneheads.
It is the Coneheads!
Cody!
I did it! What a guess!
And that's so accurate for Dan Aykroyd-led movies.
Cody is the winner of this installment of the movie game.
Because I'm an 80s kid. I knew who Jane was.
Yeah, sure. He's an 80s kid. I am surprised you knew who Jane Curtin was.
That's pretty good.
It was going to have to be Coneheads or Scotty was going to get it.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to think of any other movies Jane Curtin's been in, just off the top of my head.
TV series, I could have named a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in Kate and Alley, I think.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Third Rock from the Sun?
She was in Third Rock. Yeah, lots of TV shows, but
SNL?
Coneheads
Saturday
killed it.
Night Live. That's
Coneheads killed it for the movies for her, maybe?
what's that?
Coneheads killed it for her for the movies, maybe?
We don't like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Either does the Curtin family.
No.
All right. We got to get into the main studio now to hit what we're here to do. A pop culture draft for the best comic book TV shows ever. Stay tuned.
You are listening to Pop Culture Pastor.
We are back. It's time to draft comic book TV shows, of which there were way more than I thought.
There's a few.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be fighting over, and we will be fighting over a show or two, I'm sure, because it does feel top-loaded.
I have a wild card dark horse pick that I almost guarantee neither of you have on your list, and it's like grade A TV.
You know me, I want to go with the best, so I tend to be a little bit more obvious.
He's chalk.
Yeah, I'm chalk. That's what they call it, chalk. I pick the chalk in the tournaments and in the draft, and that's usually me. But it'll be interesting to see Scotty's style here, because I think Scotty brings a rare perspective into this, being just an expert of really a lot of pop culture, but in particular comic books. And I feel like he could know a lot of those series that were off of like some random graphic novel.
I'm really waiting for one of you two to say the Dean Cain Superman show.
Lois
and Clark.
I thought about it, but it did not make my list. Just barely.
I'll be honest with you, it didn't make mine either.
Yeah. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to pick our top 3 choices for just best TV shows made from comic book properties. And then we've got 2 bonus categories, the best villain, which I find that's a good category to have for comic book stuff, because usually the villains don't get fleshed out as much.
No.
So it's always fun to try and see who did that well. And then best ensemble cast, the entire cast. So that one should be fun too. We should get some interesting ones there. There's nothing left to do but determine the order by total randomness. It's time to spin the wheel of destiny. And the first
If
pick,
it's Dave, I rampage.
will be Jackson, but in this case it's Scotty, because I was too lazy to change the name from last time. So Scotty,
You're welcome, Jackson.
Scotty
Jackson.
gets to go first. Second will be... I'm in trouble. It's Cody.
Oh,
Cody.
finally. I've been last like the last 3 or 4.
Dave's going last. That's going to hurt, y'all. That's going to hurt. So Scotty, lead us off, my man.
Okay.
What is your number 1 pick?
Okay, I'm coming out swinging.
Yeah, I know. He's going to take my pick. I just know it. I
can
know
see
it's coming.
I'm going to go with one that probably has the best pilot ever.
Yep, he's definitely taking my pick. I don't know why you're crossing your fingers.
I'm rooting for him to take your
Oh,
pick.
okay. Well, you don't have to root for it. He definitely is. Once he said best pilot, I'm just like, oh yeah.
Dave knows where I'm going.
Yep.
It's Smallville.
It is Smallville.
For sure. You know, we would never have any of the Arrowverse shows without Smallville. Smallville is the story of a young Clark Kent growing up in Smallville, Kansas. The rules of the show were no tights, no flight, and we can argue about that later, if they stayed to that or not. But like I said, that for me, it was a show that grew with me and stayed with me at that age. We're talking about a time when VHS was still around, like every week, taped it off.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
This is like, listen, this is the only show that I ever did that with.
Yeah.
Literally, I had a box of VCR tapes because I didn't tape over them.
Yeah.
I had at least the first 5 seasons on VHS dubbed.
Yes.
Terrible recording. The ones you had to mess with the tracking just to get them to not be terrible. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't know if you were like this, Scotty, but I was the guy who, when I sat down to watch the new episode, I watched last week's episode in its entirety, then this week's episode.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was an event.
Oh yes, it was. You know, and the thing to look back on this show that a lot of people forget about is how many young names were in this show at the time. Amy Adams shows up in there, for sure, who would go on to be Lois Lane and Man of Steel even. Tons and tons of others. You know, it's always a fun walk. You know, you even get a guest spot from Dean Cain. You get the Duke Boys.
Previously mentioned Dean Cain.
Well, Christopher Reeve cameoed in it later on when he was post-injury.
Leia as well, you know. She was in there.
Who?
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher? I don't remember that.
Yes, she's the head of the Daily Planet. When you finally see the planet for the first time.
Oh, yeah. That's later on.
Yeah.
That's much later on.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
Okay, I'm glad Scotty took yours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen. Let's show some appreciation, because what he says is right. This is the first one that paves the way for the Arrowverse and all that. And on the surface, Smallville kind of looks like
a teen show.
Dawson's Creek-y, but like they did a couple really, really smart things with this that if you weren't paying attention, you didn't watch, you didn't know.
Yes.
One is Lex Luthor being like revised and written into the show as Clark's friend. It presents this like very Shakespearean level of like story writing to it. There's this tragic thing going on because they're friends, and really, it's just like it was just so good.
Well, yeah, and you think about that show, and Lex is a catalyst for everything in that show.
Yeah,
the pilot, not to give anything away, the pilot starts with him hitting Clark with his car and saving him.
Spoilers.
It's in the pilot,
yeah,
bro.
It's in the pilot.
It ran from 2001 to 2011. That was 24 years ago.
Yeah.
How dare you?
But like it's not just. Of course, there is he's crushing on Lana Lang, and will they get together or no? And that's not where they end up. You know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
But you also create like a character like Chloe, who is not from the comics and is later put into the comics because of that character from the show.
And as a bonus point, the actress who plays Chloe ends up joining a weird cult.
Yes.
And goes to prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's really like these kind of deep-seated themes of identity and destiny going on there. Like the first couple seasons, Clark doesn't even want the powers.
No.
They're more of a burden on him than anything else. But
and it's also kind of the first, for me, I felt like, first show to take this material seriously. Yes, it was a teen show, but you were playing with those deeper themes, like you just said. But you're also dealing with the mythology of who Superman is in the future. That I felt like, we talked about the Dean Cain series. That that was more the soap opera-y. Here we are, and I felt like, yes, like you said, we had some of that with the Willie, that one thing with Lana, but for me, that always felt like the backseat kind of thing.
Oh, what? Can you tell I was prepared to talk about this? Because honestly, the way they did Smallville was masterful in a way that, like, really the ongoing story was like literally breadcrumbs.
Yes,
because they had something that they called, like, the term comes from this show, the Freak of the Week.
Yes.
And so, like, the conceit of the whole series is based on the meteor shower that Clark arrives to Earth with all the pieces of Krypton have, like, poisoned or they're, like, mutated other people and given them powers, and they're usually using those powers for bad.
Yes.
Because humanity.
Why not?
Yeah. All right. Smallville, good first pick, and I hate you. Thank you for taking my pick.
I will not be taking one of yours.
All right, Cody.
I guarantee it.
I think I know what Cody's picking too.
I am going to go with one of the endless. I'm going Sandman, baby.
That was it. I am 2 for 2 on what I thought you guys would pick.
Dream is one of the endless, and at the very beginning of the show, Dream is captured. And humanity loses out on the ability to dream. Some people are in a permanent slumber. It's really weird how it starts off. But Dream gets freed, has to take back over his realm, has a really cool voice, and so many interesting historical, either fictional or historical characters throughout the show, and deep themes, deep religious themes, deep mythology themes, basic humanity themes. Oh my goodness, this show is amazing. The only downside is right now the show's the comic books creator is
an executive producer.
Well,
facing some backlash from some potential things he may or may not have done. I'm not going to judge. I'll let
alleged.
that.
Yes. But Neil Gaiman, there's no arguing he's brilliant.
Yes.
I mean, he's brilliant. Lots of material have been adapted from him. And he is one of those writers that is just very deep themes, very
profound.
Profound would be a good way to put it. And so we'll see if he did the crimes, he should do the times. Yeah. But it's unfortunate that Sandman they cancel it.
Yeah.
Tom Sturridge as Dream, amazing voice. Boyd Holbrook is in it as the Corinthian.
Boyd, our guy Boyd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Jenna Coleman, who was in the first Captain America movie and Doctor Who.
Yes.
Gwendolyn Christie, who we mentioned on our Severance.
I'm not sure
watch-along
when
pod.
this podcast became a Jenna Coleman fan pod.
It did.
Sometime last week.
But like I said, Gwendolyn Christie is in this series as well. Oh, Stephen Fry's in it.
Yes.
And then who am I missing? Who plays the Raven? Patton Oswalt.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great cast.
It's
Very good.
Yes.
phenomenal. And the show's really great. Watch it on Netflix before they remove it.
Yeah. Sure. All right.
I'll say it's probably got one of the best written and this doesn't get anything away. The death episode.
Oh my goodness. I cried.
Yes.
I
exactly.
literally cried.
It's
I'm
literally-
not joking. I
It's literally
cried.
pulled straight from the comic. And, and it was fun watching it with my wife Tanya. So I knew what was coming. So watching the show was like, oh no, it's gonna
No
go there.
one prepped me for that.
No, you don't. You just let you go in.
By the way, isn't it that goes a long way when they do that. So
Yes.
the MCU during the Infinity Saga did a great job of this, where there's lots of elements they changed from the original stories they were drawn from. But when they had a moment they knew worked in the comics, and they would make sure that was in there. Sort of like, Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed.
Yes.
No, I was kidding on that. You weren't supposed to.
That is a must.
I was just throwing a DC slam in there,
I will say, even reading the graphic novel, I cried during that.
Yeah.
Like when that particular story gets told, I'm like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess it's my turn with my first choice gone, and now I'm in panic mode, and I'm scrambling, and now I really got to go chalk.
Yeah, because I think Scotty's going to take yours.
Yeah, so I am gonna go. This show ran from 2010 to 2022, 12 years. That's a long time. I'm going with The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is a masterclass in post-apocalyptic storytelling. Right from the very beginning, I don't remember how long the intro is to that pilot episode, where you wake up with Rick from apparently a coma. And when he went into the coma, it was not a zombie apocalypse. When he comes out, it is. He's been lucky because his room has just been kind of fortified and locked so no zombies could get in. But he wakes up in a world that is much less humans and a lot more zombies, and makes his way, of course, to Atlanta. The cinematography of just that first episode alone, some of the views you get, again, straight from the comic.
Yes.
Which nobody's going to say The Walking Dead is some wonderfully drawn comic. That's not what it's about. But the story itself, he does such a great job, does Kirkman. Human nature, survival.
Coral.
Coral. All right. About the only thing wrong is Andrew Lincoln's Southern accent, but you give him a break because he's British, and not only is he having to do an American accent, but he's having to do a Southeastern accent. Now, it doesn't work out so well sometimes, especially when he says Carl. But compelling characters, intense drama, ethical questions about life after the collapse of society. The adaptation from the comic to the screen remained fairly faithful, with the show even kind of improving on some storylines. You got a love triangle or two or three, and the crazy plot twists, man. It's very Game of Thrones-ish, and don't fall in love with any of the characters, because I think there's a picture going around on the internet, a meme of the original cast, and they have black and whited out all the characters that are dead, and there's only 2 of the original 20 that are still alive.
I will say they even get to do a tribute to Roadhouse when Rick not snaps out a guy's jugular, but he bites it out.
Oh, man. Yeah. There's and I believe, again, I think that's straight from the comic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there were some things that they took straight from the comic, and that makes sense because Kirkman was so heavily involved in the show.
Well, yeah, he comes off of Marvel Zombies too. You gotta remember he's at Marvel doing Marvel Zombies before he hits Walking Dead. So he'd already kind of had some of this planned out before he hits this. So you have that kind of crazy zombie and method in his mind already.
I don't want to put words into the creator's mouth, things that he haven't said.
Yeah.
But it's very smart. It's smarter than your average zombie movie genre type of filler, because I think once you get to the end of the first season, when you understand the plight, which is everybody's actually infected, it just doesn't take hold of you until you die. Once you understand that, you understand the title is not the zombies, it's the people.
Yes.
The people are the Walking Dead. And by the way, they're also the villains.
But it's like you said, I think that's something that the show improves on, because I think some of that genius comes from Frank Darabont in that first season.
Yes, Frank Darabont of Shawshank Redemption director. Yeah.
Yeah, The Mist. I think some of that genius, the ground rules he lays in that first season are phenomenal.
Yeah.
The show introduced us to John Bernthal.
Yeah. Okay. So amazing.
Kurt Angle's nephew-in-law.
Yes.
Is how I referred to him.
Yes.
The original cast in that first season moving on is great. And then they just improve it, because then later on you get Negan, and he's played by
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey D. Morgan, yes. And it just gets improved upon. So it's good stuff. It lightens the hurt a little bit of losing Smallville, but I'll go with Walking Dead.
Way to go.
There we go.
Scotty, what is your number 2 pick?
This one I'm scared.
So this one was a toss-up because I was going between probably 5 shows. So I finally went with the cream of the crop on this one, and I went with Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Okay. You can have that one. That was lower on my list.
There's another one gone from my list. That one hurts too. All right, tell us about Daredevil.
A blind lawyer by day, vigilante by night, Matt Murdock fights the crimes of New York as Daredevil. So this is the first of the Netflix Marvel shows. More grounded than the regular MCU. I would argue that these shows for me are the best of the MCU. We can argue that, but
no, I don't think so. It's really good.
This is how villains should be handled. D'Onofrio's Kingpin is what sets the show even more over the top for me. We have this character with so much history in the comics, and you portray that in an episode that just is phenomenal. You see that this character is conflicted. You see that he is not like a villain that you can't root for, because there's moments where you feel bad for this guy.
Yeah.
And you start to question who is the good guy and bad guy in this series. Is Matt really the good guy, or is it Wilson Fisk?
Well, Daredevil, so the interesting thing about Daredevil is that it kind of predates a lot of the MCU, but for sure anything they wanted to do on Disney Plus.
Yes.
So it's already going on Netflix. They already had a deal in place.
Yes.
And you can tell the MCU was never going to go that gritty. That was not their plan.
No.
And because what you get with Daredevil is like this gritty realism, complex character studies, like you said, you kind of already alluded to. The fight choreography,
phenomenal,
and absolutely brutal.
Yes,
like
one take fight scenes,
crunching. Yeah,
and hallway fight scenes are the amazing thing in this series.
And so you can tell that was never in their plan, because now they're bringing Daredevil in, and their plan originally was, well, we're going to just start over. We're going to tell it differently. We're going to use the same actor, but we're going to just retell the story. And fans got so upset that they were like, okay. Then they went back on it. They fired the original team and brought in the new one.
Reshot the
and
first
when that
10.
trailer came out for the new one, Daredevil Born Again, and I heard there was at least 4 bone break crunches in the trailer, and I'm like, we're back, baby.
Yeah.
We're back.
Well, and they've said they've went harder in this show than even some of the stuff in the Netflix show. So
I'll believe it when I see that.
It'll be interesting to see.
Sure, Disney. Yeah. Sure.
Disney Plus is trying to be the next Max.
Well, I think they realize now after Deadpool and Wolverine, I think they realize there's an audience for the darker and for that R-rated material. And I think they were hesitant at first because you got to think they shot those first 10 pre Deadpool and Wolverine hitting theaters too. Mm-hmm. So I think they still had apprehension, but I'm glad we went back and reshot because the other thing they said is it was the most boringest legal drama you'd ever seen.
I've seen some boring legal dramas.
That's what I was thinking. Well, and they said that he didn't put the suit on until like episode 5.
Nope, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want a legal drama, I'll watch Night Court, the original.
That wasn't a drama.
It is, in my opinion.
You insult Richard Mole, it's about to become a drama.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Cody, what is your number 2 pick in the comic book TV draft?
I feel I'm going to take one off Scotty's list.
Okay, but don't take another one off me because my first 2 picks are now gone.
October 1st, 1989. Where were you, Dave?
Well, I was living. You weren't, right?
I was.
Oh,
by a few months. 43 women worldwide gave birth to children without being pregnant.
He's got me.
We're going to Netflix again, baby. The Umbrella Academy.
Oh, okay. So
Gerard Way.
It didn't come out
No.
in 1989.
I was just asking what you were doing on this date that the show starts.
I was so confused. The Umbrella Academy. Tell us why.
Oh my goodness. So you have this eccentric, wealthy gentleman, aristocrat, Sir Reginald Hargreaves, and he adopts 7 children, and they all have superpowers. And they all have distinct personalities, and they constantly are clashing and butting heads with each other. And, Reginald is most of the time just outwitting them. And I'm like, this is epic, and I need more of it. And Klaus might be the most hilarious character in any comic book show.
It really, there's the draw of that entire show, because I'm not a huge fan of Umbrella Academy. The comic, I've never read the comic, but the show I'm just okay with. I'm like, all right, it's interesting. But the characters themselves and the actors.
Oh, yeah.
Klaus, in particular, the kid. What's the kid's name?
Five,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They just call him Five. He's fantastic.
And when you get to the last season, you get Ron Swanson.
You do.
And Tammy Swanson.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And they both have the same name. Oh, my goodness. And they dance to Cher's Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves.
Yes.
Choreographed dance.
That's weird.
It is amazing.
All right.
So, yes, that I will go with that. There's some great storytelling elements, especially the further you get into season 1, and it continues throughout the show. I know people that really dug the last couple episodes, and then people that are like, it wasn't for me.
Well, and I get that, but I think I really enjoyed that last season more than I think most. You have the Game of Thrones problem because he hasn't finished the comic yet.
Yeah.
So you're kind of put in a spot of like, okay, how would he have done it?
And Netflix was like, we're done with this.
Yeah. It's one of those shows you can tell the price tag and they're like, eh.
Yeah. That's unfortunate sometimes, is the big set piece kind of shows, like usually superhero shows, is like, if they're successful, they're usually not going to last long because the price tag just keeps going up, especially if they're popular, because you got to pay the actors more, the directors more, and by the way, keep outdoing yourself on the action, and it just costs more and more and more and more.
It does.
Okay, my second pick, I'm scrambling, and I had these 2 down as the best probably of the Marvel Disney Plus stuff. And I'm really struggling with which one to pick, but I think I'm going to go with Loki. Just because there's 2 seasons, there's more of it there than WandaVision, which is what I was debating with. Although I will say, I think WandaVision, even though it's just a one-shot deal, 1 season, is really visionary. No one's really attempted to do anything like that before, I would say. It's really, really good. But I'm going to go with Loki just on the standard of you have 2 really kind of different seasons. Like the point of it all is kind of different, and the depth of it is different. And there is depth. There's lots of depth. Loki's kind of starts off in season 1, which is really kind of diving into Loki's character. The themes of it, again, kind of like Smallville and Clark Kent, where it's identity and destiny, except Loki's coming from this different place of, can I be this guy who's important to somebody? Can I, all he's ever wanted to be is seen. Will he get that chance determines whether will he sacrifice to get there. That's kind of the running theme of the whole show. The time travel, the TVA just makes it kind of fun. The actors around him, of course, Owen Wilson is fantastic. I mean, if you're going to do something weird in any way at all, putting Owen Wilson in it will never suck.
No.
It's just so good. Loki, his mischievous charm, the time hopping antics.
The McDonald's.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want to see Loki, the mischievous one, team up with a TVA agent to fix the timeline? Everybody would. And I think that as we get farther away from it, people will just admire it more and more. It was a really, really good show.
Jet ski.
So I'm going Loki. Scotty?
Okay, I'm gonna throw one out of left field here now.
Oh,
I guarantee this one's not on anybody's list.
You take my pick again, and I swear I'm going to throw something at you. Because it could be mine. You're making me nervous.
Well, I'm going to the realm of animated.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
It's not mine. It's not my pick.
I have some animated.
See, I battled because I had 3 animated on my list, and I kept going back and forth between the 3.
I have animated shows on my list, but I'm not going to select them if I don't have to.
So I went, and this was probably giving me some flack because I didn't go the 87 version. I went the 2003 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
Yes.
2003.
okay. So I went old school. That's on my list.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Scotty, tell us why.
So this one for me is fun because, yes, we all grew up on the 87 version. And the 87 version is fun. Don't get me wrong. I love the show to death. You know, it's kind of the entry point for most of us.
Can I say that I did not grow up on that because I didn't watch it?
Really?
How dare you?
I was not a teenager. I liked the
Cowabunga,
comic.
dudes.
Yeah, I do too. And that's where I'm going here.
Okay.
Because the fun of this is that this happens when Eastman is kind of like, okay, I've done this. I'm done. I'm selling all of my rights back to Peter Laird. Mm-hmm. So Peter Laird decides, hey, I'm going to relaunch Mirage altogether. And that's a company that did the comics. They were just the 2 of them. And he wants to relaunch comics, TV shows, movies, and decides that he wants to go back to animation. So the bulk of this show is lifted straight from those adult comics. But they get it to a level for kids, even so much that the first line in the first scene is that monologue from that very first issue. And they play those stories straight from those dark comics.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think I don't watch the cartoons because they're made for kids.
Yes. And like I said, there is some dumbing down, so, you were battling with
To watch it with the fam.
I watch it every morning with Coraline, actually. So, and we've been revisiting that one because she's never seen it. So we went through the 87 series and watched them in order. And rewatching it, it still holds up. There's even a fun Easter egg in there. The 2 beat cops that you see in the show are drawn to look like Peter and Kevin.
Oh, nice.
So they're in there. They even do the Casey Jones, the Raph one-shot origin story in there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And like I said, they've literally lifted chunks straight from those original adult comics. And you still have that kind of funny kids humor, that surfer. It is probably... the thing that I liken it to is the original live action movie. Mm-hmm. It is that mixture of that dark with that humor. Yeah. And I think I hate to say this, but I think that's the closest we're ever going to get to those comics.
Right.
And I think that, and it shows, in this. And the big selling point for the show was Laird was heavily involved. Mm-hmm. So there's that okay, this is my toy. I want to do it this way this time. Yeah. And it really shines through.
Well, let me be clear. With the 87 series, it's not like looking back on it now, I'm going to sit here and be like, oh, you sellouts. No, no,
I
man.
will do that.
Listen, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in its form in the comic books was never going to be big.
No.
Black and white, ultra violent with turtles.
Yeah.
Like it was so weird and so, but it was cool.
A spoof of, Frank Miller's Daredevil.
So
That's
them,
what it's supposed to be.
So them going kids, I call Archie Comics.
Well, yeah,
because they
that's where it
literally start getting produced by Archie Comics.
Yes.
That version,
Yes.
the cartoon turtles. It wasn't for me, but I understood why he did it. You can't argue with it now. I mean, everyone knows who the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are now, and nobody knew who they were when the comics first
came out. And the only
come
reason
out.
that show happens is because Eastman and Miller were trying to make that brand wider. Yeah. So they wanted to make toys. So they finally found a company that would take it called Playmobil Toys.
It's always about toys, Scotty.
So Playmate's like, okay, we can't produce toys unless you have a show. So they did that first run of 5, and they're like, okay, now we'll produce toys. But then those toys exploded, and that cartoon was huge that winter, and they kept coming back for year after year. And
it doesn't compare to mildly microwaved prepubescent kung fu gophers.
That gets a shout out.
Yes.
Every time.
It does.
We met the creator.
We did.
Say it again, Cody.
Mildly microwaved prepubescent kung fu gophers.
It's a little wordy.
It is, but I love it.
We met that guy at the first con we ever went to.
We did.
That was the first con we ever went to. We met the guy that created that, and it's like, where did you get this idea? He was cool though. It was good.
But you got to think, there's millions of those. You have like bowls of Mesa that come after that is directly, you can tell was a ripoff.
They were just ripping off Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Look at how that genre explodes the moment that show hits the air.
Yep. Why not?
Street Sharks.
Street Sharks.
Love Street Sharks.
They made all the monies.
Oh yeah.
They made all the monies. All right, Cody, pick number 3.
Okay, I'm going off the beaten path here.
Good. Stay away from my pick.
An alien crashes on Earth, hides in a remote Colorado mountain town.
I mean, seriously,
I knew this was coming.
He has talked about this show on like 5 pods.
And we'll make it 6. After assuming the identity of the town doctor, Harry Vanderspiegel, his nefarious mission to kill all humans is threatened when he realizes one of the townspeople, a 9-year-old boy, can see his true alien form. Harry starts off living a simple life, but things get a bit rocky when he's roped into solving a local murder and realizes he needs to assimilate into his new world. Slowly begins to wrestle with the moral dilemma of his secret mission on Earth. Yeah, I'm talking Resident Alien. Yeah.
Yep.
That's based on a comic.
It is based on a comic.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know me. I'm going to go for the dark horse in these drafts. And Linda Hamilton's in it.
There you go. Do you have any actual issues of Resident Alien?
Not yet.
Not yet. How old are these? When did this come out, Scotty?
God, I want to say, I wouldn't even have to look at that one. It's not that old.
Yeah. It's
That's
such a
very
weird,
indie darling, yeah.
It's a very interesting thing, but clearly it's got to be indie.
Somebody was diving in the back bin and somebody's like...
So, published by Dark Horse Comics.
Of course, Dark Horse, yeah.
Originally a 6-issue miniseries from 2020 to 2021. So it really isn't that old, but it was beloved. And when you have Alan, who I'm not going to butcher his last name on
Tudyk.
here. Yep.
We got you.
He is, oh my goodness, he's so hilarious. His mannerisms and the voices that he does, because he literally is playing 2 different individuals, because there's his alien form and then there's the camouflage human form, and the camouflage human form has to pretend to be nice and all this, but then when he's talking with the 9-year-old, he's like, I am going to eat you.
Have you seen him the way he does pictures at Comic Cons with fans where he's like the alien guy?
Yes.
He looks all rigid.
I love it. If he was at Planet Comic Con, I would be going to see him. So yes, Resident Alien, it's a show that I'm pretty sure the whole family could watch it together. At least the first 2 seasons. Third one might get a little bit more adult-esque, but It's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Super intelligent, and funny.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk is a very talented dude.
Yes.
Very talented actor, comedic actor.
You know, Steve the Pirate and Wash.
Yep. Yeah, and of course Firefly.
Yes.
That's where people remember him a lot from, that whole cast.
Yeah.
Moana. I mean, we can keep going.
Frozen.
Yeah.
All right, my third pick. We're going to go back into Marvel time. Okay. Let's go back to 1977. This show ran from 1977 to 1982. Let me tell you about a time when we could have a show about the Incredible Hulk where the Hulk was not CGI. Right behind me on the wall here in the PCP lair is an autograph photo by one Lou Ferrigno, who we met at a Comic-Con late last year. He was not in green paint, but if he did, he'd still look great. How old is he? He's got to be in his 70s, right?
Yeah.
Dude's ripped.
Late 70s now, yeah.
Man, he looks so stinking good. I was embarrassed getting his picture. I'm like, all right, I'm a little soggy around the midsection. I'm much younger than you, but of course I'm talking about the Incredible Hulk TV series.
He's only 73, by the way.
No, that's all. The depth of this show, when you get the Hulk right, like I'm gonna take the MCU to task a little bit here, because they took Raging Hulk away too fast and replaced him with, the kind of spliced together version of Banner. And even in the first Avengers, when he's like, that's my secret, Cap, I'm always angry, and he can control the transformation. Nah, man, that was way too fast to get that, because when the Hulk is at his best is when it's Frankenstein's monster, except it's more out of control. It's supposed to be Shakespearean. It's supposed to be deep. It's sort of Jekyll and Hyde, I would say, but playing on that classic idea of here's a guy who doesn't have control of this, and when he turns, he's got no control, and often doesn't have any memory of it. It's a split personality nightmare. And this show was so sad. It was so sad. Every week, every episode ended the same, with the Hulk running away from whatever chaos he had caused, with the piano notes. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do. It was so deliciously 80s in that way, because like, aside from your Dukes of Hazzards and your A-Teams and your just corny 80s action comedy type stuff, there was this like sort of entertainment that just was so deep. And to take a comic book like this and turn it into this, it was so good. Bill Bixby as David Banner, which they changed the name inexplicably for. There's really no reason.
Well, there is a reason.
Tell me the reason.
I've heard this reason quite a few times. And it's funny, if you look at his gravestone, it says Bruce Stone, the pilot. If you look this up. So they changed the name because they were worried that the Bruce name would come off as gay and didn't want to use Bruce. So changed it to David.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What am I missing?
Yeah, I don't know. That was their reasoning. I've heard that many, many times, even from Lou.
That's wild.
Especially considering Batman's name is Bruce.
I know. I didn't know that name carried any sort of connotation with it.
Yeah, that was their reasoning.
Unless it's Bruce Valanche.
It was the 80s.
Yeah.
And
that
is wild. I had never heard that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bill Bixby talked about it before he passed for many years, that was.
Well, Bill Bixby, the original Don't Make Me Angry guy, Lou Ferrigno's Hulk. I just loved it. I loved everything about that show, and it was such a downer. And I will just say over and over again, when the Hulk is at his best, it carries that kind of weight. That weight to it. All right. We have finished our top 3 picks in the comic book TV draft. It is now time to pick our bonus categories. The first bonus category, Scotty, the best villain in a TV show based on comic books. And I can't remember, what was my criteria here?
You wanted it flushed out.
Well-developed / memorable. So, who is your villain pick?
You better not take mine.
I'm going back to it, so I'm going D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Okay, you didn't take mine. Although we might be in the same universe, buddy.
Yeah, tell us about it, Scotty. Why? Why? Well, I mean, beyond the obvious, that D'Onofrio's amazing.
You struck gold there when you casted him, and I think a lot of people kind of is like, really, but
what people? Those people did
exactly. That's what I thought. You had an amazing actor that had shown for years that he was at this level. For me, the emotions and the complete, like I said before, he's a villain that you can root for. He's not wrong. He's not the Joker. He's not that maniacal villain. He, in his eyes, is trying to do what he feels is right. And we get something that I think, and you alluded to earlier too, we see a lot of times in the MCU that we don't flesh out villains. And I think, for me, this show fleshes him out so much that you get this background of finding out his upbringing and why he is the way he is. And I won't give anything away, but all I'll say is, it all centers around a white paint.
Yeah.
That episode for me is still one that I come back to every time in that series that is just phenomenal. And telling that story. And there's a reason that we got 3 seasons of him as the main villain for all 3. There wasn't, yes, we deal with, Punisher in series 2, but, he is still the one pulling those strings. And you see that, and you see how calculated and how thought out this man is to drive home his thought that he is right. And at the end of the day, he's going to be right.
Well, D'Onofrio's first of all, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah.
It's an intimidating presence. And then, his acting is so layered and nuanced, which
Full
is perfect.
Metal Jacket.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
That's the first thing a lot of people think of, because there's something about him that's very inviting.
Yeah.
And you want to get close to him. But then by the time you're that close to him and you realize there's a threatening thing to it, you're too close.
Yes.
And it gets scary. He can be instantly menacing.
It's like the scene in the first season when he, this will be very graphic, but takes a guy's head off in a car door.
Yes,
you have that.
yeah.
He has this conversation with this guy, and it's just that quick snap, and he's taking this guy
They
out.
should have known him from Law and Order: Criminal Intent. Scary guy.
But you're right. You have Full Metal Jacket. You have something like Full Metal Jacket, and then you have something like Men in Black, where he's Edgar.
Yeah.
The man has range that is just phenomenal to see. At the end of the day, this character is a damaged little boy who is still trying to make up for it.
I think that's probably be a common theme in a lot of the villains we talk about is he's got the history of abuse and neglect as a kid. So he's got he's rough around the edges. But then you mentioned something that he believes he's right. He's very Machiavellian.
Yes.
So Machiavelli, what is that? 15th century, 16th, I don't even remember. It's somewhere around that time where he's a philosopher who advises a prince. The famous book's called The Prince, or it was a long letter.
Yes.
And he tells him the goal of any leader is to be a good leader, but in order to get there, you have to take power by any means necessary. So you have to do whatever you have to do to get there. Then you do work out of a care for the people.
So this isn't about Tupac.
No, and I'm not really sure what Tupac was trying to do with the whole rebranding, calling himself Machiavelli. I kept waiting for the philosophical tie-in, and it did not come.
No.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, the first villain off the board. Cody, who is your villain pick?
I believe they announced that he was going to be at Planet Comic-Con.
Vincent D'Onofrio will be at Planet Comic-Con?
Yes.
I'm so excited.
I'm going with someone else that's going to be at Planet Comic-Con.
Oh, this one's close on my list, too.
He, in the comics, was known as the Purple Man.
Yeah.
But he is not the Purple Man in Jessica Jones. I'm going Zebediah Kilgrave, played by everyone's favorite doctor, David Tennant. Oh my goodness. Tennant was a beast. And so I chose him because you get to see the way that he just roots himself deep inside Jessica, and like it affects her even after he's gone. And so she's just stuck with the traumatic reliving of it over and over again. But no, he was so swarmy, yet I was rooting for him, and I should not have been.
One, the fact that they did that storyline and that character.
Yes.
Like you knew, so Netflix all along with those shows, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, you knew they were going more mature and they were going to be dark and gritty. And Jessica Jones is, an interesting character for sure. But the fact that they went with that guy, that villain, who is scary, he controls people's wills, and that can lead to some just really, really freaky stuff. And in that series, and then getting maybe the ultimate nice guy to play him. Yeah. I think that's more freaky.
Royal Shakespearean actor David Tennant,
whom everybody universally loves. By the way,
yes.
I don't know how many people know this, but David Tennant is like adored by people.
I've even got him tattooed on me, so
Scotty has him tattooed on him.
And I love him as Scrooge McDuck, and I didn't think I could move on from the original.
So yeah, that whole storyline,
that was brilliant casting, by the way.
Look at you going Marvel.
I know. I had a DC one waiting. Oh, it was so good. And I know you won't steal it, so I'll say it's the White Knight or the White Dragon. That's what his name is. Dragon. White Dragon from Peacemaker.
Yeah.
It's Peacemaker's dad. Oh.
Spoilers.
He is such a villain. I almost went the Penguin, but the Penguin's not the villain of the Penguin.
No.
Is that it, Dad? Did the Penguin tell you to do this? Okay. My pick, it's funny. It's a funny world we live in. Cody went Marvel. I'm going DC.
Yes!
I'm going with Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor in Smallville. If you haven't caught the theme yet, I'm a huge fan of Smallville. And I stopped short of talking about it earlier because I knew that someone was going to pick this, and I was hoping it was going to be me. Because what they did with Lex Luthor in Smallville was such a change to comic book continuity. It was such a revision. And at first you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, but that all goes out the window because basically in the pilot episode, Clark saves Lex's car from he pops a tire, loses control. He's about to go off a bridge. Clark saves him.
Yes.
And it ends up being this friendship, and you get this evolution of his character. In fact, I'm not so sure that they did as good a job with Clark Kent's story arc as they did with Lex Luthor's story arc.
Yes.
His story arc's amazing in Smallville. And the show does a masterful job of building the complexity of who Lex Luthor is. Creates this dynamic between him and Clark that's feels like an emotional roller coaster at times. And it's a gradual descent into villainy, which is just something really satisfying to watch about that, at the same time, it's also heartbreaking because Michael Rosenbaum played that part so well. And at the end of the day, again, it's very borrowed from a Shakespearean, it sounds so hilarious to talk about Smallville, which is basically Clark Kent or Superboy mixed with Dawson's Creek.
Yes.
But it's so hilarious to talk about this on those terms because there's really this Shakespearean tragedy where you have Clark Kent and Lex Luthor, and they're basically two sides of the same coin, right? They're both exceptional beings.
And we know where the story's going, but that slow burn works so well.
But you know it from the beginning.
Yes.
Because you know they're both exceptional, and here's Clark with his Kansas farmer parents, just old-fashioned values, moral. And then here's Lex, and immediately his dad, played by the amazing John Glover. Lionel Luthor, who's basically Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially,
Yeah.
he's like a CEO of a company. He's uber rich,
So
and he's
no
it's not like
relation to Danny or Donnie.
no. Not he's not related to Danny Glover. Not that I know of.
But he's also the voice of the Riddler in Batman animated series.
Yeah. And so Lex is just a fascinating character, and I'm gonna stick with it. I think actually his arc is more impressive in the entirety of Smallville than Clark's ends up being.
Yes.
So that's my villain. Now we go to the best ensemble cast. Scotty, who is your best ensemble in a comic book TV show?
So, we kind of talked about this one already, but I'm going to go with it still. I'm going with the Umbrella Academy.
The Umbrella Academy. There's a lot of people in
Oh,
that.
that is good.
Yes. You have Elliot Page, you have Tom Hopper, you have Emma Raven, you have the wonderful Robert Sheehan, who plays Klaus. You also have Aidan Gallagher, who is 5. These characters all for me feel like a family. You have that squabbling, you have that, yes, we love each other at the end of the day as a family, but they're not technically blood, but they come together when they need to come together and do things they need to do, but they also act off each other so wonderfully. And each one of them's individual personalities are just so amazing to watch play together. And I think something that the show really got that's really fun is you grounded these characters, but still had those personalities come out, and were so colorful and so much fun to watch. And throughout the season of the show, we got a lot of times different pairings of these characters together. You would have like Klaus and 5 together, or
Yeah.
it just, they played off each other so well. And I think
the chemistry's really good.
yes, even when, you had, and I love the show to death, even when you have down moments of that show, that cast is on, and you don't have, and they carry it with, even sometimes where you're like, I don't know where the story's going. And it's just phenomenal to watch them all work together. And the thing is, none of them are big name actors.
Yeah, well, okay.
It's all, these unknown. Gallagher was like a teen pop star. Was his claim to fame?
No.
That's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is exactly what I wanted to point out, because this proves you can do it without like the known actors.
big names.
So other than Paige, I don't know that I knew any of these people.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Aidan Gallagher, who's great as number 5.
Yes.
Like, to me, him and you pointed out Klaus, who's played by Robert Sheehan. Yeah, totally don't know who these guys are.
Yeah.
One day I walk in the living room, and my youngest daughter's watching the Disney Channel. This Aidan Gallagher was on like one of these Disney sitcoms. You know, the really bad ones with the laugh
Yes.
tracks?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's that dude from the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
And he's like cracking bad jokes, and I'm like, oh boy, how did he get that role?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
But yeah, you don't spend a lot of money, and you got phenomenal acting at least as core, and they carry it to the end.
It just goes to show you that just because they're on the Disney Channel as youngsters doesn't speak to their talent, because there's quite a few of them. The girl was on 1883. I believe she was on a Disney sitcom actress. I can't remember her name, but she's in lots of stuff now. She's an up and comer. All right, Cody, best ensemble.
Okay. I'm going to list off some of these thespians.
All right.
Ron Perlman, John Rhys Davies,
Oh my goodness. I mean, stop right there.
Ed Abner,
You're just reading off the
I
national
know where he's-
recording. This
no,
is the
I know-
Oscars.
I know where he's going.
Malcolm McDowell,
Whoa.
Heather Locklear, and Adam West is in it. John Glover, as
Yeah.
mentioned before. And then the two big dogs, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. I'm going with Batman the Animated Series.
Wow.
I saved it.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. This cast was amazing. And to think this is for a cartoon, Dave, that
Yes.
I grew up watching.
What's crazy about that is not just a cartoon, not just amazing actors in their own right, but some of those names you mentioned are like known as the best voice actors out
yes.
there. Like Luke Skywalker, to anyone under the age of 30, they're not Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill
No.
is amazing voice actor guy.
Jim the Vampire.
Yes. There's a generation of us that still reads comics and hears Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was reading The Killing Joke, and I had Mark Hamill's voice in my head as I was going through it. But no, Kevin Conroy, he was amazing. Rest in peace. This whole cast, like very iconic voices, and then big names just kept coming in and having small reoccurring roles. I'm here for it. And Batman has such like a vast variety of characters that you can bring in people all the time.
Well, I think that's a detriment to Adriana Romero, who did the voice casting on that show. She went out and found these at the time. Mark Hamill wasn't a huge name. You gotta think Star Wars had happened and he'd kind of moved on and it was it. And, even somebody like Perlman at the time. Nobody at that time knew Perlman. Talking pre-Hellboy. Come off of Beauty and the Beast.
I would just like to point out that
Scotty, Dr. Moreau.
Scotty knew the name of the casting director of Batman the Animated Series.
So again, I know I said this off air.
Like, he doesn't have notes.
That quite literally, it was a miracle. I won the movie game, and I might be on my way to sainthood.
Ensemble's tough. There's a lot of good ones still on the board too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because like you almost couldn't go wrong with The Walking Dead as an ensemble. There were so many people in that, and they've just gotten bigger since that premiered. I'm not going to go that direction. Moon Knight was on my list, mostly just because Oscar Isaac's super amazing in that. And then, of course, you have Ethan Hawke as the villain, and May Kalamaui is as a kind of newcomer is excellent in that as well. I could have gone Loki. Mostly, I just wanted to do that because Ke Huy Quan is in season 2. Yeah. I would have said specifically season 2, but Owen Wilson and Gugu Mbatha-Raw is Ravonna, and Sophie DiMartino is Sylvie, who I had no idea who either of them were before that show, and they're great in the show. WandaVision. You could have gone WandaVision with Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen.
I'm waiting for you to say Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, I haven't watched it.
Ensemble they work so perfectly together.
It was a close one between that and Umbrella for me.
Peacemaker was number 2 for me as well.
I even considered The Flash, the 2014 to 2023 Flash, just because the chemistry they have was really, really good.
And any of those Arrowverse shows, that was something that was well done. The casting on those. Specifically,
The Flash made that was the reason I watched it. Yeah. Grant Gustin and all them. But I'm leaving that all on the table because I've just been all over Smallville this whole time.
Ew.
And I'm going to stay with Smallville. What do you mean, ew?
Ew.
He's not wrong.
Look, the star of the show, Tom Welling, is arguably the least accomplished one.
Yeah.
They're all
outside of Smallville. He does what? Cheaper by a Dozen remake.
Yeah, I'm not counting Allison Mack.
I was going to say, are we counting Chloe?
Not counting Chloe. Scotty already mentioned even like the guest stars on that show were constantly like, you would see someone like Amy Adams was on this show before she was Amy Adams. Oscar winner. But the original crew. So Tom Welling as Clark Kent, Kristen Kruk as Lana Lang, even Allison Mack before she went crazy as Chloe Sullivan. That just is like, that was so well balanced just with those 3 teenage characters that when you start adding in Michael Rosenbaum as Lex, which we already talked about and how absolutely amazing he is. I mean, like, look, he's been in other things. Yeah. He's like a character actor. He shows up in lots of other movies. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as the diamond guy. You wouldn't know that because he's covered in special effects.
Yeah.
But it will never match that. It was such a juicy part he gets to play. And all of these actors were up to the task. And then once you even get past that to like
the Kents,
the parents, we already talked about John Glover, who's this amazing actor from the 80s. Then the Kents, who are just the parents of Clark Kent. You get John Schneider and Annette O'Toole.
Annette O'Toole is Lana Lang in Superman 3.
And Bo Duke?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? This is an amazing cast. I wanted John Schneider to be my dad. I wanted Pa Kent. And listen, you get out of here, Kevin Costner. I don't want any other Pa Kents besides John Schneider. John Schneider's my Pa Kent.
Until this new Superman.
I'm sorry, rant over.
We've got to get there. It's got to get released.
Yeah, it was just so. I don't know. I think we're gonna look back one day and say Smallville was a masterpiece.
That's a thought.
I don't want to hear it, Cody.
You can also, like, if my mom was on this show, she would have said one comic book TV show, and it would have been Wonder Woman.
Hey, listen, it's on my list.
And
it was
she
on
would
mine
have
too.
told you it's a masterpiece, and how dare you rant and rave about this?
I mean,
I think Smallville also has the luxury of hitting at the right time.
yeah,
And I
for
think
sure.
it really does. And I think that's what helps as well. You know, I think if you tried today, not so much. You know, I think it wouldn't go over as well. But you still go back and watch, and it still aged really well.
Yeah, there was a
phenomenal.
time period there where it had to hit. You're right, to be like that Dawson's Creek vibe, where it just works there. I mean, we talked about it. We did a Be Kind Rewind just a few weeks ago of Batman Begins, and we watched the trailer. They actually put out a trailer for TV for the CW
Oh, yeah.
that is very Smallville, Dawson's Creek,
it wasn't
Nickelback.
even the right Nickelback song.
Nickelback, you play it in the trailer. It's wild, but you just had to have been around at that time and known. Now it seems ridiculous.
Well, you want to know a fun fact? You brought up Batman Begins.
Okay.
So, Bruce Wayne was supposed to show up in Smallville. You know who blocked it?
I don't know.
Christopher Nolan.
Chris Nolan blocked it.
Blocked it because they did not want anybody else using Batman until he was done. So I've never got an answer.
There's a particular character that everybody thought was going to end up being Bruce Wayne, if I'm remembering this right.
There's an actor. There's an actor that was supposedly casted.
He was in Lost.
No. Supposedly Dean Cain was supposed to be to begin with.
Oh,
they were
okay.
going with Dean Cain. And Dean
Thank
Cain ends
goodness
up
Christopher Nolan
that
came
whole
around.
thing gets blocked, and they scrap that altogether and make him the villain he is then.
I'm thinking of Ian Somerhalder.
Oh yeah,
I think Ian Somerhalder maybe was on Smallville. He was on a couple episodes of Smallville, and he did an arc on that show, and I think he was very vigilante-ish, if I remember right. And I think that was maybe the storyline too, where they were like, okay, we can't use Bruce Wayne, but what if we made this guy who was kind of like Bruce Wayne?
well, and they were also developing the Graysons at that time, and that got pulled.
Yeah.
Thank
Graysons were
you,
supposed to have it at the same
Christopher
time, yeah.
Nolan.
Darn it, Chris.
But you got to think at that time there was nothing like this on TV, and you really didn't have comic adaptations in theaters at the time either.
Yeah.
You know, you have Batman Begins hit after Smallville's been on for a few seasons even.
Also, Cody's mom, I did have Wonder Woman on my list, but
Leanne thanks you.
even though it was wildly popular in the 70s,
She made you believe she was in a plane
I thought
that you couldn't see.
I thought if I talked about it, it would just come off as being like, well, everybody was in love with Linda Carter.
Well,
And why wouldn't they be?
everyone
Yeah.
was.
But yeah, well, I remember watching Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
As a kid.
You know, you woke up on every morning and it was on Sci-Fi. It was that and the 69
Syndicate,
Batman
yeah.
back to back.
Yep.
And Lou Ferrigno Hulk. It was the three of them back to back.
Yep. Listen, just side note, you can't possibly understand the excitement level I had for the trial of the Incredible Hulk TV movie
yes.
with lame Daredevil and lame Thor.
John Rhys Davies was Kingpin.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but we thought it was amazing because we didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
There was no other Marvel stuff. Y'all kids, y'all don't know how good you got it now. You know, we're literally sitting here watching TV shows. We're about to get a Daredevil show on again
yeah.
on from the MCU. So
We got a She-Hulk show.
a Daredevil show coming up.
It had Daredevil in it.
Gee, funny, no one mentioned the She-Hulk show. All right, everybody, what would have been your picks? Do you like our picks? Who are you for? You're going to get to vote on them. Make sure you're in the Pop Culture Pastor community group on Facebook. It's a group, not the page. So search for that, and you'll be able to take part in all the polls to say and vote for who you think won this draft. Clearly me. Where my Smallville fans at? Although Scotty did steal Smallville itself on his first pick.
I think mine was the most unique.
Daredevil coming out soon. Did I mention Daredevil?
Yes.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Pop Culture Pastor. Pop Culture Pastor. Pop Culture Pastor.